Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Paint Desk Ramblings. Tonight's topic is the Fight for Avras, the global campaign that has been running on the Ninth Age site for more than half a year now. Joining me in this endeavor are the creators of this campaign. From the Infernal Dwarf Legendary Army Book team, we have Lich King.
Hey everybody.
And from the Empire of Zornstall community support team, we have Adaephon Delat.
Hi everybody.
All right, so how are you guys tonight?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I've just opened a whiskey. I think I'm fine too, yeah.
You did.
Excellent. So I need to fire up my lighting here. We'll see how that works. Yeah. Okay, so for the next hour or two, hopefully not too long, we'll be chatting about the Fight for Avras. About how it came about, what it is, and some lessons learned for maybe future campaigns and such. So strap yourself in, dear listeners, grab a brush and some miniatures, and we'll enjoy this all together. So speaking of which, time for the hobby spotlight. So what's on your desk, Lich King, or your hobby in general?
Well, I've got a club of about a couple of people, 10 to 12 people who are playing with me the Ninth Age mostly, and they wanted me to become their leader, and on that way I'm trying to set this club up in formal structures. Like in German, you say you set up a Satzung. I'm not Marcel. Do you know what Satzung means, like in English?
Not really.
No, it is just the laws that are.
The setting, perhaps.
Yeah. The law setting for a club. That's what I'm working on at the moment, and yeah, regarding the forums, there is a lot of stuff to do layout-wise. I'm part of the ID lab team, and it's just because I'm one of the layout guys who has to coordinate at most the work around the Legendary Army book, and yeah, that's a lot of work to do at the moment.
Yeah, I've noticed the whole forum internal sections are really sparking with life again. It's a lot to do. So yeah, that's good to hear. It's kicking along. What about you, Adaephon?
I'm mainly painting and building stuff these days, writing on the forum, but yeah, actually I'm painting some vampire knights converted from these Elven dragon knights. I don't know their name really.
Dragon Princess, perhaps?
No, dragon knights converted to vampire knights.
Yeah, so those are the Dragon Princess Games Workshop models. Yeah, that looks nice.
And I'm actually building some terrain these days and playing.
Yeah. Terrain building can, it can be really challenging. I should be doing some myself quite soon. We're gonna host a tournament in what is it, May, I think? Yeah, middle of May. So we'll need some more terrain.
The most Ninth Age members I know in person say, "Whoa, that's a lot of work to do, but I don't find the time to play." The Ninth Age.
That's my greatest problem.
Yeah, that has been my weakness lately. I've been playing some skirmish games, but very little in terms of 9th Age. I only really play at tournaments every now and then. But for myself on the work desk this evening, you can see here I'm working on some rats for some rat at arms for my Vermin Swarm army. So this is an army I started last year, but then I painted up a little warband, and then I pretty much just let it gather dust. But now I'm finally back in the saddle again, working on them, after having worked a lot of Empire of Zornstall minis for a while. So it's nice to be back, although I'm a bit annoyed that my painting skill has improved, I guess, because at least the shields are not turning up the way it was. What was that?
How is it possible? You said your skills.
Always. I guess the main part here is that I got myself an airbrush, and that gives a bit different results on the shields. So yeah, I'll probably have to repaint the shields of the old guys. But yeah, we'll get to that. The miniatures are from Dragon Claw Miniatures, by the way. So they did a Kickstarter a while back for some Roman themed rats that I've just thought were perfect for the 9th Age. So I started myself up a true Avras army, basically.
Afrasian citizens.
Yes. So that's what I'm working on. The avid listeners of my channel will recognize these. I worked on these on the very first episodes of this YouTube channel. So now it's a bit nostalgic to work on them again. So, and I'll include some links down below to the miniatures and all of that if you want to go check them out. But that brings us on to the news, I guess. So let's see here. Yeah, the first piece of news, you can see it here on the screen, is from the Sigmarite boutique, I think they're called. I mentioned this company last time, fairly new, when they announced their support of 9th Age recently. And now they have put out some products that are more specific for the 9th Age. As you can see here, some movement trays that they have. And they are a bit unique in that they are modular, so you can build on more and more, which is quite neat, I think. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
What's its price in Europe?
What did you say, Marcel?
What is the price in euro? It's only in.
It's in Swedish 1 kroners. Yeah, so I guess that's about €2. But I'm not sure how many you get. Select a type. Okay, so you can get different sets here. So ranging from €2 to 17 euros in a 5-pack. So yes, things like that. And he makes all of these using a 3D printer. So that's pretty neat.
I'm not so sure about them. I think they are very useful for people who don't build their own, but as Marcel did, he made a short tutorial to build your own magnetic. Were they magnetic?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, movement rays, and I think you can do them on your own pretty simple, such as Marcel showed, and I'm not so sure about how many people will build them on their own or go and buy them.
Yeah, I used to build my own movement trays, but nowadays I'm more lazy, so I just use the Danish company magnetic movement trays
Yeah,
for
I
my
know them.
newer armies at least. For my old armies, I still build the occasional movement tray. But I think I will state first that this is a Canadian company, so it's certainly an option for US based. If you feel that Denmark is a bit far away, don't want to order from those. And also this modular aspect of it, that you don't have to have quite as many different sizes of movement trays. You can build it up the way you want. I think as an advantage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but yeah, we'll see. He also does offer some customizable options for 3D printing in general. So if you have something that you want to have 3D printed, you can get in touch with him. He'll get you sorted. The second product that he's unveiled recently is skirmish trays for 9th Age, which again has this modular aspect that you can snap together a larger tray basically from smaller parts.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Much cooler.
So yeah, that's about it from that. Next we have some news from the 9th Age site. So an introduction in the lab process, the legendary army book process. So maybe Lich King knows a bit more about this.
No. I know nothing about the lab process.
Yeah, so they talk a little bit about the process and then mention where the different books that are being worked on at the moment are in this process.
Yeah.
So always good to get an update, though I think we are all starting to feel really anxious to get our hands on that Infernal Dwarf book soon. It's been a long time coming. But nice to see an update, at least. Next we have some Kickstarters. So first is this Elven Lords, the Queen's Duty, from Lastswords or Lost Swords. I always get that mixed up. Yeah, Lastsword miniatures. So have you seen this?
They look
Yes,
amazing, really.
They do, actually. If you like elves, this is about as good as it gets, I guess.
That's the point. If you like elves.
Yeah.
Who likes elves? That's a good question.
It's a pretty big if, I guess. But I'm told that there are people out there who like elves, so they can go check this out. I think this is their second Elven Kickstarter. They did another one a few years ago, and I think they are fairly reliable, so you can trust that you will get your miniatures eventually, at least.
Yeah.
And yes, I should mention it's only 3 days to go, so when this is posted, maybe just 2 days to go. So go check that out fast if you are interested. The second Kickstarter we have is Havoc Rises by ARC Studios. I never heard of them before, but they are doing some fun color, some Warrior of the Dark Gods miniatures that look pretty badass.
Yeah. It seems to be really big.
What was that?
Seem to be really big. It's not. Is it 35 millimeters?
I think the smallest is 35 millimeter, yeah, and then up to the really large scale stuff. So maybe suitable for characters and such, not units. But they have some really cool stuff here. One thing that I noticed though is that their pledge levels, it's a bit difficult to get the miniatures that you want. You're pretty limited, I think, in what you can pledge and get as rewards, which is a bit annoying. But I haven't looked in too much into that. But yeah, they have some really cool stuff. That I think is new, a big red dragon. So yeah, if you're into the two Wars of the Dark Arts miniatures, then go check these out. I think there's about 2 weeks left for this campaign, and it's fully funded, over 10 times the amount that they ask for, almost 20 times. So yeah, they've been successful so far. And the last bit is another Kickstarter that's not live yet, but the Empire, the machines and troops and machines for Empire by Norba Miniatures.
This looks really promising, I think. It's a bit of a copy of the GW.
Yeah, I thought so as
wagon.
well.
But I
It's
think
always
you
a
can
problem
use it
with Norba.
conversely.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they're gonna release some Arcane Engine, because I need some of those for my Empire army, and I don't really have an idea what to do with them. But if it's just a copy of the Games Workshop one, then I'm not sure I'll be that interested in the end. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see where they go with this, for sure.
I will definitely play this one.
So yeah, I guess that's it for the news. Unless you have anything you want to add.
I don't think so.
I can mention also that Mad Git Radio put out a podcast not that long ago, a few weeks perhaps, where they chat about hobby and hobby goals. It's a really good episode. So if you want some more stuff to listen to while painting, that's a good place to go look, basically. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the news. So I can something like that. Okay, so on to the main topic, I guess. The battle for the fight for Avras, rather.
The fight, yeah.
So we'll start it at the beginning. What is it, and why did you decide to organize it?
Well, it is a overall campaign made for the community, and I've started some kind of campaign in, I think it was like 2014 on a German tabletop forum. And it has been pretty successful, though we only had vampire counts playing for this campaign. So it was at the time of the 8th edition of Warhammer Fantasy. And as you might have noticed, then back then Games Workshop decided to cut down the bloodlines, and they have been some kind of unique for the vampire count players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were sorely missed.
Yeah. And we as a community felt like it was missing now, and we had to do our own thing there. And yeah, it has been a lot of fun, and we had a lot of months with painting miniatures and writing background stories and such things. Yeah, and the same system later was my inspiration for studying the same system in the Ninth Age.
Okay. Yeah. Neat. So the campaign is from the start. It was very limited.
Yeah, yeah. We had 3 starting factions: the Vampire Covenants, the Vermin Swarms, and the Empire of Sonnenstahl.
Yeah, and this choice was made for background or fluff reasons. I understand it.
Yeah, also, but not only because of that. I've been an ACS member at this time already, and I've been asking my colleagues to join the campaign because I knew it would be hard to make it on my own. And one of my colleagues was Marcel, and he decided to jump in, and so we were at least 2, and he wanted to represent the Empire of Sonnenstahl at that time. Yeah, and so I've been looking for at least a third person, and most of you might know Eldan from the T9th Age forums.
Yeah.
And that has been our guy representing the vermin swarms at the start. So yeah, it was kind of story driven that we chose especially these 3 factions, but it has also been chosen because of we were limited in manpower.
Yeah. So you wanted someone to be responsible and take charge of each of these starting factions. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
go on.
we had the Kingdom of Aquitaine was planned to start too, but we found no one here to help us. So we decided to cut it to these 3 factions and start with these.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's part of the reason why you chose the theme that you did for the campaign, the fight for Avras in particular. Did you have?
Well, I to be honest, I chose Avras before deciding for the starting factions because for me, Avras is in the Ninth Age setting very special. It is a multicultural metropolitan city, yeah, and it's easy to get everyone there,
Yeah.
and a reason to get everyone there.
Yeah. It is the capital of the world basically.
Yeah, more or less.
So that really makes sense. Yeah. So how did the players then get engaged in this campaign? What did you?
Well, first of all, we opened a thread, and I gave people first ideas of how this could work, and they were meant to get themselves in or not. And they had many options, and that was also what we wanted the players to do, to choose how to gather points for the campaign. So you choose on your own if you focus on writing background stories, or if you want to focus on painting miniatures, or maybe in a game design direction too.
Yeah. So the players, they were gathering points by doing these different actions.
Yeah, we had a point system, and it was made open for everyone to be transparent. And we wanted to add as many options as possible.
Yeah. And what did these points lead to? This is something I participated a little bit in the campaign, painted some miniatures for it, or just posted up miniatures that I painted. But I never really understood what you could do with these points that you gathered up.
Yeah, I think the idea was that we started to give stretch goals, and when one faction reaches these points for the stretch goal, then something will happen. At the start, we had this that other factions were unlocked through the interest points the other people for of the faction earned, and yeah, but later on, it yeah, there were no new stretch goals.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So then it became more of a competition between the different factions to see who could gather the most points, basically, because those represented in some terms who was winning the campaign, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, that was also what we were aiming towards.
Yeah, and I think it worked decently. I saw that there was some rivalry between the different factions, and trying to spur people on to contribute to your faction, basically. I was never one to take sides really, because when this campaign started, I was working on Vermin Swarm, on Empire Zornstall, and even Vampires, pretty much side by side. So I was rooting for everyone. But yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much what the campaign is, and why it came about.
Yeah, for why I decided to set it up, I think I should add that the Ninth Age, I often hear it is called a tourney system, and I think we players can do much more than only see it as a tourney system, because it is not only a tourney system. It is also made for playing campaigns in the Ninth Age setting, and the Ninth Age setting is, for me personally, is awesome. It is much richer than most settings out there, and
Oh.
I wanted to point out that players don't have to go to tourneys, don't have to go to tourneys to be part of the Ninth Age and the philosophy of the Ninth Age.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to make, because the Ninth Age, they do have this stamp of being by tournament players for tournament players, but that is really not true. It's so much more than that. And
Yeah, and it's also I can see it now in the lab process. I've been thinking for a while. It is only about getting the books out, and there are attorney players, and they have their idea of an army, and they want to sell it just like their idea is. And in the lab process, I've seen they are focusing on the background, and that's quite awesome. I think it's not what I was expecting, and that the rules are background driven is outstanding for our system, I think.
Yeah, it makes everything so much more grounded and feels more alive, I guess. That's great to hear that that some of these more hardcore tournament players have been converted, basically. That's that's nice.
Either that or they have been kicked and
They have been molded into proper fluff gamers. Yeah, all right. So, how about we look into a little bit of what became of the campaign, some favorite stories and things like that. How do you feel that it has come to play?
I think we started with some introductions to all the factions. Yeah, to give the people some plot they can work with, and that's evolved a little bit. But what I found was really great were the side quests. The first side quest where where the people had to draw what is it called the symbol of Avras.
Yeah,
I can't find
like
the
a coat
word.
of arms.
A coat of arms.
Oh right, yeah.
For Avras, and it was awesome what people brought up there. And it's when I think Hugo entered the campaign with his fabulous coat of arms for Avras. I couldn't believe that this was real. That he was pledging something great for the campaign. I think this was really great. It worked.
Yeah, Hugo's contribution was
Very good.
awesome. It was stunning, really. I hadn't expected such a quality level for a coat of arms. I thought, yeah, there might be some nerds like me, and they start drawing some shit together. uh, personally, I wouldn't say I'm very used to draw things or so, but yeah, I saw there were other guys who made much more of it. Yeah, and I didn't expect it in such a high quality level.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I think I saw that one and it was really truly stunning. That coat of arms. So yeah, that was awesome to see, and I think it motivated people to try and engage in it, basically. So yeah, that was really great to see.
Yeah, it was a shame we didn't found the time to make more of these side quests. I think they were one main reason um, for people to get in later on.
Yeah, possible.
But I've had a lot of real time shit going on, and
Yeah,
I didn't expect it, and I was planning to get into the campaign again and again and again. I was promising more than I could give, and I feel ashamed. Really, I do. But that is maybe something to be said to the lessons learned about it.
yeah. I think we'll get into that soon. So one thing that I want to highlight, I think it was maybe Mercenary Armies who posted it. I'm not sure. It was a character giant, rules that he made for a character giant. that was basically for hire for any army, which I thought were really, really cool. So I have it was part of the motivation why I painted up the giant for my Empire Zornstall army.
And your giant is badass.
Thank you.
He's so damn badass. I've been sitting here and
Unbelievable.
Going through the forums, and I saw your contribution, and I thought, what the hell is this under his eyes? Did he even paint shades under his eyes?
Yeah.
He must be crazy. I'm not even painting eyes. Okay, for a giant, I might do, but
yeah, he was a great project just because of those large skin surfaces. I could really toy around with different skin tones and variations and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a fun project.
Speaking about, I think you meant Pitelius. Yeah. Speaking about Pitelius, it's also funny because Marcel and I know Pitelio from the forums in person too. He's from Cologne, or at the moment he's living in Cologne, and mercenary armies had dedicated it for him, I guess. It's also what you can see from choosing the name, yeah. And Pitelio answered this contribution by Mercenaries Army by adding himself as a giant into his computer game.
Yeah, the Veil of the
great,
Ages.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I missed that. That sounds so. He scanned himself and made him into a miniature in the game.
Yeah, you need to know. You need to know he's not that large in real, and so maybe a 3D scanner could make a scan of him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some next level wargaming.
Hey, Francesco,
Absolutely.
if you're watching this now, yeah, next beer's on me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Okay. So, do we have any more stories and such we want to bring up? I also think I also want to mention the latest scroll in issue 19 of the Ninth Scroll had some summaries of the campaign and some of the stories, and that was actually the first time that I took the time to read those, and I must say it was quite engaging, really. So.
Yeah, what I really like is the plot other people brought up. There were so cool stories and characters that people wrote about, and decided, especially, I think it was King of Aquitaine introduction was written by a member. It was, and this was really great. It was people brought up as their stories.
Yeah, and that's what was exactly what we were looking for. We wanted the people to do their own thing, and they started doing their own thing because they had a frame within they could work.
Yeah, sounds very true.
And for the Ninth Age Scroll article, I've been talking to Henry, who is the editor, and he asked me to write up something about the campaign, and I thought, yeah, it would be fair for the people who contributed such beautiful things like miniatures and the stories and such things. And I copy pasted most of them and wrote my own opinion to it. And in the end, Henry was quite, I hope he was quite satisfied. And I hope I could draw a good picture of the campaign, even if it looks like it's not going to go on for a long while now. But maybe it's a good advertising for a new campaign this year or next year.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that will segue us into the final topic, or that doesn't have to be final, but next topic at least, which is lessons learned from the campaign and some thoughts for maybe future campaigns then.
Yeah. So, where to start? Well, I've learned a lot of lessons by the campaign, and most of them are about getting more people in, and not only participants, but especially more organizers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been
Because you can't be every places at once, and then real
yeah,
life comes in and things like that.
yeah, exactly, such things. And I had a problem to give up too much control to
Yeah.
the players at the beginning, because I had my own. Oh, Marcel, what are you doing? You're shaking my head. Okay. Now I lost my idea.
Giving up control, and I think that's
Yeah,
something that's really hard to do. It's something you created. It's your baby, so you wanna you wanna make sure it does good, basically.
yeah. I had my idea how the plot should evolve, but I don't want it to be because I want it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the end, it was done mostly by the players, and I think it's fine that way. And I should leave them more freedom from the beginning on. But I will need more support for the different factions. We've been looking for many players who would contribute those introductory stories for the factions who were added by stretch goals, and it has been too much work to do on our own, especially with 2 or 3 organizers.
Yeah. Which I think then was a good idea to have this progression at least, where not every faction is present from the start, because then you can take it in step by step, I guess.
Yeah, this was okay, I think. People had the time to prepare their stuff if their faction wasn't unlocked yet. I think this worked very well.
Yeah, I think that worked too. I was a bit skeptical of that design at first, but I think it actually worked out.
Yeah.
I think the danger is that if your faction is not with from the start, you just kind of ignore it and then never get engaged. But it doesn't seem like that was what happened basically. I think people.
Yeah, we decided to choose very low stretch goals. So if you want to get in and you are a let's say Warriors of the Dark Gods player, you could support the Warriors of the Dark Gods with whatever miniatures you have. Yeah, let's say the Vermin Swarms, the Vampire Covenants. some miniatures you might have there. You might have some ideas for background stories about them, or maybe your friends have some miniatures and you paint them for them, only to get yourself engaged with the Warriors of the Dark Gods later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people have more than one army, so it's likely that they can get engaged with some army pretty early, and then, as you say, they can always engage in areas that don't
Yes, I think
require such a big, I think, effort is maybe not the right word, but yeah, if you don't have miniatures, basically, you can still contribute in other ways.
absolutely.
I think is
Yeah, and I
important.
think it was Wasteland Warrior who painted up some abominations to finally unlock the Warriors of the Dark Gods.
Yeah. Yeah, Wasteland Warrior was painting like insane.
Yeah, he's a
I
machine.
guess yeah, in every way, yeah. Yeah. I like him really because of his very positive um he's a very positive type of man.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really spreads positivity around the forums. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he's keeping on with his work. He's painting and painting and painting every month. You look in the painting league. I have the strong feeling he will never end with no more miniatures for his Warriors of the Dark Gods army.
Yeah. Okay. So a bit of a sidetrack there. Um, so one thing particular that I wanna discuss about lessons learned is the length of the campaign,
Yeah.
because this is something that I feel is very sensitive.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, we have. I think we said we were running it for 3 months first,
Yeah.
and then look how it goes. Yeah, and we found out there were people joining quite late, and we wanted to give them a chance to participate anyways, and it was very complex. You shouldn't stop it too early, and you shouldn't leave it running too long because it loses the how,
Attraction.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we are planning a final event involving again Pitelio. I hope we can do it in the next weeks. So I think we can find a good ending for the campaign to start a new campaign within this or the next year.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
This year, you mean, or is it next year?
Next season, perhaps. Um, for me personally, this topic about length is quite challenging, because for me the biggest part of this campaign was the painting. I did write some small fluff piece, but it's not something that I do a lot of, but I do paint a lot. And for me to change my paint schedule based on a campaign is quite a lot of work. I'm pretty set on a schedule already. So that meant that it was hard for me to get into it. And I think that when it started, you said it was a 3-month campaign set out to be, and you started it in the beginning of summer also. So for me, it felt like during the summer I don't paint at all, pretty much, for a long part of it. So it felt like I was just going to miss the whole thing, because it was I couldn't change my schedule, paint schedule that much, and it was almost gonna be over by the time I got back home. So I think for that reason it has to be quite long so that people can adjust to it. But then, as you say, it starts to feel a bit pointless, perhaps. That it just goes on and on and on. I think the campaign at the moment has gotten that feeling. It's pretty much stale, but this that you mentioned that there's going to be a big finale, that sounds really promising.
Yeah, we want to give back our participants something for what they contributed to us, and that's why we chose to do a final. What is it? What is it? Is it a final quest? I'm not even sure about that. We have to discuss it.
Yeah, not 100%. It's not 100% clear. I think.
Yeah. So it might need some time, but I hope our contributors will enjoy it, and maybe it will be a first step for the next campaign then.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be keeping our eyes open for that. Sounds really promising. Okay, so I guess that answers the last question I had if you were gonna do it again. So that sounds like you are.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
No,
Okay.
I think I had a lot of fun with it, and it was a great time, especially in the first weeks. It was awesome.
Yeah, it really kicked off quite fast. As I said, I was in the summers. I was away from home, so I could only watch it sporadically. But it was a lot of activity there in the early days. That's for sure.
Yeah, I never thought that we could have such a lot of participants. I think we had over 50 persons. It's great.
Yeah, and there had been a lot of contributions on from the start on. I think I've been sitting in the university and looking at my smartphone while listening to these disgusting math what does Vorlesung mean, Marcel?
Vorlesung, lecture,
let's say lessons. Well, yeah, I was sitting in math lessons, or lectures, and I was actually looking every 5 minutes on my smartphone and thought, hopefully there will be enough people joining us, and hopefully they're gonna have fun and contribute their stuff. And I had like 20 notifications per day only from this subforum. People mentioning me because what do you think? How long will this go? What do you think? Are there any chances to get faction ABC in? And can I contribute a story like this or that? Or there's so many questions per PMs and notifications. My smartphone was really running hot on them.
Yeah. Okay, so I think maybe it's time to round this out then. Do you have any final thoughts that we want to share?
Yeah, I hope that we start a new campaign and that guys can help us with this. So maybe it can run a little bit longer, and maybe even more people will join it and make it really awesome.
Yeah, I think that is a good way to reach out to more people who want to support us in the next season.
Yeah.
And we are definitely will be running a new campaign, and we hope you join us as a player or as a supporter.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I guess with that out of the way, I think the last thing to do is to recap on the painting that's been going on as we speak. So, Adaephon, how have you been doing?
Quite not I think I paint the first layer, and the next layer will be some contrast layer, and then afterwards I will start highlighting. So I'm pretty. It's okay. Thanks.
Yeah, for myself, I've gotten pretty far. These were sketched out when I started the show, so they were highlighted in black and white. But now they are pretty far along. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus here somewhat. So some metal left to do, some brass, copper, and some more details, and then the shields, and then they are done, basically. So yeah, it's been quite productive.
Yeah, I've been quite productive too. On the stage. I just can't talk and paint simultaneously. Well, I can't paint anyways, but it's even worse if I'm talking at the same time. But I need to say my glass of whiskey, yeah, it's empty.
Yeah.
So I've
Excellent.
So I've been very constructive here. Yeah.
Yep, I understand that. All right, and listeners, you are more than welcome to put in the comments what you've been working on, and can see what's been going on, basically. So all that's left to do is for me to thank you very much for coming on. I think it's been good.
Welcome. Thanks
Thank you for inviting
your invitation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I hope to have you on again, maybe in the future when the next campaign is starting up or something like that.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. But yeah, with that out of the way, I can only say thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.